Today I fucked up by cracking a joke at my wife's doctor appointment. So as per usual, this did not happen today, but rather took place a couple years ago. But a coworker sent me something on Snapchat today that reminded me of my fuck up. My wife was having a consultation to have a procedure done on her uterus and obviously wanted me to come with to help remember things and maybe come up with questions she didn't think of. Her OB doctor goes through all the specifics of the procedure and finishes up her presentation with saying we won't be able to have sex for 2 weeks. My wife, being an eternal smartass, turns to me and says, "Did you hear that, honey? No sex for 2 weeks." Me, without skipping a beat, "Okay, but what does your dentist say?" Wife wasn't super amused, but her OB doctor thought it was funny as hell. Full disclosure, wife found it hilarious later. I think she was more embarrassed at the time. And I realized this is probably a joke from somewhere, which is why I think it popped in my head so fast as a reply. TLDR, made a blowjob joke at wife's doctor appointment. Wife was not too amused. A buddy of mine is married to a dentist. He makes references to sleeping with his dentist every once in a while. It's really funny when people don't know what she does for a living. Fuck up or not, you made that doctor's day. I asked my wife's OB if he was sure the baby was hers. He realized I was joking and lost it. My wife's eyes did a roll the blue angels would envy. Worth. Reminds me of when my wife first got pregnant and she went to the OB-GYN for our confirmation appointment. The doctor asked her if she was allergic to anything and my wife replied, "Yeah, latex." I said, "Yeah doc, how do you think we got in this situation in the first place?" Sadly, neither found it amusing at the time, but years later my wife loves to tell this story. The fact that you are able to type this means it really was not a FU. Now had you said something like, "Yes honey, they said you could not have sex for 2 weeks. This'll get buried," but during labor my midwife checked to see how dilated I was and said, "I'm calling it a type 1. Husband says, "You're telling me that's how we got in this mess?" He didn't even mean to be crass, but she'd set him up perfectly. The nurse just asked me to wait to murder him until we were off the property so she didn't have more paperwork. Went to a new dentist. Filling out the requisite information sheet, name, insurance co, DOB, etc. I came to the box that said, "How do you prefer to be addressed?" Me, being a bit of smartass, wrote "Your Majesty." Took the form and returned it to the receptionist and returned to my seat. As I sat there watching her enter my information on her terminal, she burst out laughing. Then, she gets up from her desk and goes from desk to desk, showing my information. Stifled laughter ensues each time. By the way, I was never addressed as Your Majesty. GIF emote, free emotes pack cry. That's not a fuck up. You just wanted to share your joke here. Trust me, I hear it at least 4 times a day. Had a similar deal when I joined my wife at the optometrist. Before she got the drops, the doctor said, "Okay, I'm going to dilate you now," to which I said, "At least buy her dinner first." We all had a good life, but she turned beet red from embarrassment. My wife would have asked, "Is anal okay?" really turned the doc's face red. I did similar, but with reverse outcome not long ago. My wife is pregnant with our first, so we never knew until recently that early ultrasounds show an empty head. I said, "Look, he's gonna be as smart as daddy." My wife was laughing. The ultrasound tech looked at me like I was Satan himself. "Haha, that's brilliant. Okay, but what does your proctologist say?" Would have worked too though. Maybe it's because you didn't deliver the joke like Chris Rock did. When a midwife asked my partner if we knew what we were having gender-wise, my partner suppressed the urge to excitedly say a baby, and man, I wish he had cracked the joke, but I'm glad he told me about it after the midwife left at least. That's awesome. My wife had throat cancer, all good now, and was having trouble swallowing. The doctors kept telling her about the exercises she needed to do to help her swallow. I could not stop chuckling. The doctor left and my wife said, "What's so damn funny?" And I told her after 20 years of marriage, if you were swallowing by now, it was probably a lost cause. You did something I would absolutely have done myself. Glad your wife saw the humor in it afterwards. That reminds me, when my wife had her C-section, I was with her in there, talking to her behind that screen they wouldn't let me look past. Kind of a strange situation also for my wife, being cut open, feeling them move you yet feeling nothing else, so I was joking around with her, as usual, cause what else I gotta do. At some point the doctor was like, "Sir, could you please postpone your jokes for a bit? I'm trying to stuff back everything into your wife and her intestines are wiggling around when she laughs." I was getting a gyno appointment from a male doctor and he asked if it hurt. And I said, "Well, it's no pleasure, absolutely not, having any sexual meaning behind it." It was a very quiet exam after that. Dentist here, we can absolutely tell what you've been up to prior to your visit. We actually note it on your file so we remember to offer Invisalign instead of braces in the future if required. Thank you for your service. Pediatrician asked me the basic safety checks when I brought my baby in. Is there a gun in the house? Do you lock up cleaning chemicals? And then where does the baby sleep? I knew she wanted to hear, in his own bed, but I couldn't help myself and blurted out, "Mostly indoors." She was no amused. I'm friends with my dentist and her husband. He decided to crack a joke one day when I went to spit in the sink and I just said, "The only one that's been in my mouth is your wife." They both just looked at me and then started cracking up. The poor dental assistant was new and looked mortified, not knowing that I knew them outside of work. My husband had an operation where his pectoral muscle had to be reattached, so needless to say, a very significant injury. I told him we would, under no circumstances, have sex until he was cleared at his 1-month post-op by his doctor. We get to his appointment and his doctor asks if we have any questions and my husband proceeds to go, "My wife wants to know when we can have sex again." The doctor started laughing, my husband started laughing, and I was bright red. My husband and I were at a pre-op appointment for hysterectomy, bladder tack and hernia repair. Husband, while you are in there, can you make it tighter? Doctor, how small do you need it? I'll be needing a second opinion from your proctologist. How is this a today I fucked up? Husband makes funny joke that doctor laughs at. Wife is mildly annoyed. But then wife also finds it funny a little later on. This seems like the most mild event ever. I mean, you could have said proctologist instead of dentist. You are still alive, so no F you. Good joke though. So what was it that your coworker sent to you on Snapchat? Oh, a blowjob joke. I thought the joke was that she was FG the dentist or something. My wife, being an eternal smartass, turns to me and says, "Did you hear that, honey? No sex for 2 weeks. She started it. Had to make some jab that makes you look insatiably horny in front of stranger." Imagine thinking this is a FU. This entire post is just you bragging that you made a hilarious joke, isn't it? The joke works multiple ways. She could have been sleeping with her dentist too. Hospital humor has a decidedly different edge. It diffuses the daily drama they face. This is lesser today I fucked up and more you wanting to relay a joke that landed. That's gold, Jerry, gold. I made my doctor laugh uproariously once with a blowjob joke. We were discussing my experience with a Foley one with the little balloon at the end. I said that everything went as expected except when they went to inflate the catheter. Without breaking character and rather deadpan, I said that they didn't inflate the little bulb like I thought they would. I thought they would have gotten the head nurse. He laughed so hard he had to go outside the room for a breather. You legend. Cool story, bro. What's the fuck up? In what way is this a